Hello everyone and welcome to Fiction Friday. Today we have episode 3 of The Lightning. I hope you enjoy it. Shades of blue surrounded Karash. He strode through the ice tunnels that connected the many chambers of the Palace of Eternal Winter. The Queen had summoned him and she expected his attendance at once. He flexed his massive shoulders. Even for a frost ogre, the chill of the Queen's home penetrated to the bone. A weakling human would be killed in minutes, but Karash and his kin thrived in the bitter emptiness of his mistress's domain. A patch of ice crunched under his bearskin boots. The days grew shorter and soon true winter would arrive, and with it the height of the Queen's power. The time for another war with the humans fast approached. Karash trembled with excitement. Human flesh was the sweetest meat, and he didn't get to partake nearly as often as he'd like. His longest-held wish was to serve as war leader. Karash dared hope that he'd been summoned to receive that task. He would be the one to bring the humans to their knees. He knew it. He rounded a bend and reached the final tunnel leading to the Queen's chamber. Berserkers in their white dragon masks lined the tunnel. As he passed them, a chant went up. Karash, Karash, Karash. 100 throats roared his name. Boots stomped, filling the passage with thunder. Karash drank it in. He'd earned their adulation dozens of times over, in battles of dominance, leading scores of successful raids. Karash wore his many scars with pride. Each represented a powerful enemy vanquished. He thrust a fist in the air, drawing a long, low howl. At the entrance of the Queen's chamber, he paused to adjust his dragon mask and settle the great sword on his back, a trophy taken from the first human he slew in single combat. Preparations complete, he entered the sprawling oblong chamber. So vast was the space that even with his keen vision, Karash failed to make out the far end. Instead, his gaze drifted to what a first-time observer might mistake for a jagged glacier, until it moved. The Ice Queen opened an eye as big as Karash was tall. He fell to his knees before the mighty dragon as she rose on claws capable of rending a mountain to rubble. The two of them were alone in the massive chamber. Rise, Karash. Hearing her speak his name sent an electric thrill through his body. He scrambled to his feet. Command me, my queen. The time for the next war approaches. Karash controlled his reaction by the narrowest margin. This was it. His dream would become reality. We have lost many battles with the humans, Karash. Decade after decade they turn aside my mightiest armies. But not this time. This time we strike at the enemy's head, then its body. He frowned behind his mask. I do not understand, my queen. Will we not send the army south? We will, but not just the army. We will also send small bands into the human kingdom to hunt down and kill their leaders. The chaos will make them weak and uncertain in their response. Our forces will finally have a true advantage, and you will be the key. Karash's heart sank. He was not to lead the army. That great honor would go to another. Whatever you desire, mistress, it will be done. You shall go south and kill the humans' king. Bring his head to me, and our army will march with it on a pike. I require 3 other teams as well. You will select 3 berserkers to assist you, as well as the remaining 3 groups. When you've made your choices, you and your 3 companions must come before me again and receive my blessing. Go now, Karash, and choose well. The queen settled back on her bed of ice and closed her eyes, dismissing him. Karash turned on his heel and marched out of the chamber. He maintained his dignity until well away from the berserkers lining the passage. When he was certain he was alone, Karash slammed his fist into the ice wall, sending small cracks running through it. She wished him to kill a single miserable human. How could his queen waste her most powerful servant on such a simple task? The human king would have guards, but surely nothing to challenge a team of berserkers. Perhaps if he completed his mission quickly, he could still take his proper place at the head of the army. He pushed away from the wall and stalked on toward the barracks. His mind rushed ahead to the task his queen had set. While he thought it a waste of his abilities, Karash would never consider giving the queen's task less than his best efforts. The only thing worse than not getting the honor he deserved would be to fail his mistress. He would not let her down, no matter the cost. The barracks where the berserkers slept consisted of nothing but a series of 10 interconnected chambers, each of which housed 50 ogres. They held little in the way of furniture beyond weapon racks filled with spears, clubs, axes, and swords. Furs from bear and musk ox softened the icy floor. The few metal weapons were trophies taken from fallen enemies, as the clans had no skill with smithwork. The bulk of the weapons were made from magically shaped ice, every bit as hard as the strongest steel. The cold kept the stink to a minimum, but nothing could fully hide the odor of 500 ogres living in close quarters. Only the queen's elite made their home in her palace. The regular soldiers, along with ice trolls, frost giants, and blue drakes, lived in tribes scattered across the tundra. When the time for war came, the queen's mental command would summon whatever size army she deemed sufficient to make the attack against the humans. It was a glorious thing, watching warriors from all the clans gather for battle. Karash had fought many times amid the howling hordes before being selected to join her elite berserkers. Some days, not often, but once in a while, he missed those simple days, hunting, killing, mating, with no worries beyond the moment. That had been a simpler life, but nowhere near as satisfying as serving at his queen's side. Karash entered the first chamber and bellowed, "Sakar, Catan, Kolto, Ekor, Banai, Wanre, come!" It took only moments for his summons to reach the ears of the warriors. They appeared in a swirl of snow. Sakar, Catan, and Kolto were his companions of many years and would join him on his hunt. The rest were leaders of their own squads and would deal with the lesser targets. Karash was an ogre of few words, so it didn't take long for him to explain to the others their task. Collect your squads and join us in the Queen's chamber. The squad leaders vanished to collect their comrades, while Karash led his subordinates back to their waiting queen. As they strolled through the halls, Sakar said, "Why does she waste so many of us on such a simple task? I could go myself and collect all the heads our queen might want." Karash darted a glance at the arrogant pup. Sakar was the very embodiment of an ogre warrior, an 8-foot-tall wall of muscle covered in blue skin. Only 2 scars decorated his chest, a testament to his skill in battle. Though strong and dangerous, Sakar thought too highly of himself. The humans didn't overly impress Karash, but there was a reason their armies always got driven back, even though one-on-one few humans were a match for an ice troll, much less an ogre. "Perhaps you should tell our queen that she's made an error in judgment," Catan said. "I'm certain she'd value your keen insight." Karash grunted a laugh at Sakar's scowl. At only a hair over 7 feet tall, Catan was small even for a female ogre. What she lacked in size she made up for in cunning. If it came to a fight, he wasn't certain Sakar would get the best of her. Karash wouldn't let it come to a fight. The queen's mission was all that mattered. "Enough, Catan," Karash said. "I'm sure Sakar wouldn't dream of saying anything negative about our queen." "Never," Sakar said. "Good." Karash looked to Kolto, who hadn't made a sound during the argument. The veteran berserker had overseen Karash's training and was still the only warrior he feared. In one of the rarest events in berserker culture, Kolto had given up his position as squad leader to Karash without a battle for dominance. To this day, his mentor had yet to speak of why he'd done it. But Karash felt certain he had his reasons. When they reached the queen's chamber, the 100 berserkers that always guarded the entrance had left. He couldn't remember ever approaching the queen and finding her alone. Not that the dragon needed protection from 100 puny ogres. The Ice Queen could kill every living thing in the Northlands without straining herself in the least. Karash led his team inside and found the queen on her feet waiting for them. Though by no means small at over 8 feet tall, Karash had to crane his neck up to look at the queen's face. She towered over the ogres, her blue scales glittering like gems in the magical light that filled the chamber. All 4 ogres fell to their knees and bowed their heads. "My loyal servants," the queen's voice filled the air. "Are you prepared to receive my blessing?" "We are, mistress," Karash said. "The task I've set you will not be easy. I know you imagine humans are weak creatures, unworthy of your respect, and for the most part you're correct. Some, however, are different. You may have fought them, or witnessed them rain death down on my armies." Karash shuddered at the memory of humans that hurled light from their bare hands. He feared little when it came to battle, but the idea of dying without even coming to blows with his enemy sickened him. The human king is surrounded by these special individuals. To kill him, you will have to fight them on even terms. My blessing will give you the tiniest fragment of my soul force. Prepare yourselves. Jaws wide enough to bite a frost giant in half opened, and her breath washed over Karash and his team. Cold unlike anything he'd ever known settled upon him and sank into his bones. With it came blinding pain. He clenched his jaw, refusing to cry out as the Queen's power mixed with his own. Seconds that might have been hours passed before the pain lessened and vanished altogether. When Karash reached for the energy that had been part of him for his entire life, he found it changed. He stopped, uncertain how or if he should tap this strange gift. Raise your eyes, my servants. Karash looked up from the icy floor, glancing left and right as he did. Awe filled the faces of his team. Even the usually superior mug of Sakaar hung slack with amazement. Karash gazed at this queen, stunned by the gift she'd shared with him. When his gaze locked with hers, he reeled as the knowledge of everything this power could do filled him. His awe grew by the second. He'd become stronger than any ogre that ever lived. Now you are ready to complete your task. I know you won't fail me. A faint cough from the entrance drew his attention. The other squads had arrived. Karash shook off his moment of wonder and made his expression hard and forbidding. Gather around, the Queen said. I will show you what must be done. 3 glowing blue orbs appeared in the air before them. One revealed a bearded human in a tent staring at a map. Another showed a young human with short dark hair riding a horse beside 2 others. The last showed an old man lying in bed, tended by a pair of young females. These are your targets. Succeed in killing them and all hope of the humans defeating our forces will vanish. The first is the commander of the human army protecting their northern border. He's surrounded by that army and you will need stealth to reach him. We will slay him without fail, my queen, Wanrei said. The first orb vanished along with the general's image, and the queen continued. The second is the human's future king. Though only a whelp, he will be a useful figure for the humans to rally behind when the other 2 are dead. I will tear his heart out and bring it to you, my queen, Benai said. Sakaar chuckled. Trust you to choose the weakest target, Benai. The squad leader bristled and bared his fangs. Do you dare mock me, pup? Sakaar spread his arms as though to embrace the older ogre. The chamber shook when the queen slammed her foot down. Every target is important. Karash's ears ached at her volume. Trust Sakaar to do something stupid. He snatched the young berserker's scraggly black hair and slammed his face down to the ice. Forgive my subordinates, foolish my queen. The gaze that skewered Karash held no warmth, but when she didn't strike him down on the spot, he relaxed and let Sakaar up. When the second orb vanished, the queen said, The last is the human king. He rests in their capital, surrounded by warriors and sorcerers. Killing the old human will pose no difficulty. Reaching him is the problem. The remaining team will provide a distraction so Karash and his team can enter the castle and kill the king. If all is done as I've commanded, I will at long last extend my rule into the human kingdom. Fail and... better you die in the attempt than return to me without the head of your target. Thanks for listening to episode 3 of The Lightning. I hope you join me next week for episode 4. You can check out the complete Soul Force saga on my website, jamesewisher.com. Link in the description. Until next time, goodbye.